We're in a new era for the global economy, and like the Gregorian calendar, we can break it up into two very distinct categories. So think about what's happening at the moment. You've got BC and AD, before coronavirus, after the disease. Before BC, economists were worrying about global trade wars with China and the United States. Now it's disruption and supply chain disruption that has them concerned. BC, the fear was stagnation, sluggish growth. Now, perhaps as a result of monetary and other stimulus, it's inflation, arguably stagflation if things don't pick up. BC, it's about full employment. Today, the ILO is talking about scarring, resignations, job shortages, strikes. Adam Tooze is the professor of history at Columbia University. His new book is Shut Down: How COVID Shook the World's Economy. And Adam's with me now. BC and AD. And I wonder, sir, when you look at these two, this moment in time, is it a question of what has changed systemically versus just cyclically that we have to adapt to?
I think the really terrifying thing, Richard, is that we don't know, and it's incredibly difficult to disentangle this BC and after Corona. And I think that the terrifying possibility is, in fact, it all might get mixed up with each other. That's where I think this idea of stagflation comes in, which is the new meme, right? So it's the old worry about stagnation with the new worry about inflation. I think we're going to have supply chains and trade conflict between the United States and China. So I think it's the merging of those two sets of concerns that really has everyone confused, and I think is what's behind this rather pessimistic view by the finance ministers.
If we look, though, there are lots of things that are happening that either could have been foreseen, it's incompetence that they weren't. For instance, the UK didn't have much by way of spare capacity for energy, so the just-in-time has failed them. But then you've got things like the shift to online shopping and retailing, which has been much faster and accelerated because of what we're seeing. And this fascinating statistic that more people are changing their jobs than ever before. 40%. I mean, it was an extraordinary number, that I saw. How do we make sense of it? Since we have to put our shoes and our socks on every morning, how do we make sense of it, Adam?
I do think that it's this overlaying of different effects. There are sort of tipping point effects where we are seeing, say, the malls, the cinemas that were on the edge anyway, tumble over. Then I think we're seeing acceleration of existing trends, like the growth of digital, online working. And then there's a whole area where people, I think, are really engaged in a process of discovery, where we just didn't know that we could do this before. The previous times I've been on your show, I've come into the studio, we've sat down, it's been in the building, it's been all physical, and here we are now, and we know we can do it like this. I don't know as an academic whether I'm ever going to go back to the old conference circuit of flying around the world to sit with academics and talk about academic things, because we know we can do it with Zoom. So it's those three things: acceleration, tipping, right, and just the discovery of new options.
And yet, we seek certainty. We need to know, because this is so different to anything we've experienced before. Can you find a historical parallel for this level of root and branch change?
I'm not sure that we can. And what's even more bewildering about the situation, and it goes back to some of the pieces you just had on earlier today, is it not even as though we're doing the things that would actually most rapidly restore certainty. The key to this, we all get it, right, is vaccination. Only half the world's population is vaccinated, and it is not top of stack. The IMF have tried to push it up to the top of the policy agenda this week, and all power to them, because that's the way in which we could get to certainty, right? Restoring certainty is the key priority here.
Adam, how do you switch it off? I'm curious. A man who everybody looks to for an element of direction and certainty, how do you switch off mentally? What do you do? Read a book? Go fishing? Do the garden?
I walk the dog and I like sports. The return of the American football season has been a relief, and walking the dog throughout the entire crisis. I think for many people in New York anyway, was a great relief, this chance to just go outside with the pets. Mercifully, the dogs couldn't get corona, right? With cats, it was more of a concern, as we've seen in the zoo. But having them was a real touchstone.
And the idea of this mental health crisis, again, it's, you know, one wouldn't normally be talking to you about a mental health crisis, except it will spill over into the economic arena, because this time it's on a scale we've never seen before.
Yeah, remember Jamie Dimon and that quip he had about needing to cope with the post-2008 regulatory environment, you needed a lawyer and a shrink. I mean, I think he's a bit of a prophet in that respect. That is our world, and that is the nature of these kind of uncertainties. We have to become our own virologists, our own epidemiologists. We have to be second-guessing Dr. Fauci or not, deciding whether to or whether we shouldn't. Like, it goes really deep. And I completely am with you that the position of analysts right now in the markets who have to make big money plays, it's an astonishingly uncertain world, both at the level of natural environment, but also the big historic shifts, the relations between the West and China. People arguing with each other, right? You know, Blackwater and BlackRock at odds with Soros over the whole China play. It's not a conversation that I ever anticipated us having out loud in the way it's happening right now.
Adam, it's good to have you, sir. I'm grateful you've given us time tonight. It's much appreciated. Thank you.